On Thursday, April 19, 2012, David Lilienfeld, 20 years old, he and his younger brother Gustav were doing some surfing at a surf spot known as the Caves in South Africa. The spot is in between Kogel Bay and Gordons Bay. It was about 12:30 and the brothers were on their boards waiting on a wave with David lying on his board. He was doing bodyboarding and his brother was nearby on his board. Suddenly there was a shark fin seen nearby, and then we're going to go to a few different witnesses that saw the attack. The first is Matt Marias. He is on the beach. He has seen that there is a shark fin near the boys. He's actually gotten out of the water as he was surfing, and he's calling his wife, and he sees the shark getting closer to the two boys and tells his wife, call the police, call rescue, fire rescue, or whoever. There's a shark attack happening right now. And right when that happened, the shark made its beeline straight at David. And David was able to fend it off the first time that Matt Marias saw this from the beach. Now there's two other sets of witnesses. One of them's from a rocky post a little bit above. It sounds like both of them are from the road. They're both elevated and they're too high. They were trying to scream to David and his brother to let them know there's a shark right by you. But the first is a woman. Her and her husband just got done with lunch. Her husband's in the car. She's out there and they finished up lunch, and she's looking and she sees a big animal in the water and she thinks it's a shark. So she tells her husband, is this a shark out there? He gets out. Now the shark is very visible. The water is as clear as it could be. So that's how everybody from so far away, hundreds of yards in some cases, can see the shark by these people. Crystal clear water. He gets out of his car and he says, yeah, it is a shark. Now the shark was about 100 yards away from them, or 100 feet away from them at the time. And I'm thinking that's when Matt Marias saw the shark fin by the boys, and he might have saw it further or back away from them, making it look like it was closer to them. But from the rocks, the couple saw the shark disappear under the water, and next thing you know, it came up underneath David, hitting David's board. She said it hit David and then it went away and it came back at him again. Now they couldn't see any red in the water, and this is crystal clear water, so it sounds like it got the board. And I've said before that if the shark is coming from directly underneath you, it's probably not going to bite you, it's going to hit the board because it's got its mouth coming straight up. They don't bend their head forward, so it's going to bite what it's coming up at. So if it's coming from the side, you're in trouble, and if it's coming from underneath, it's probably going to get your board and maybe your arms if they're in the way, but it's going to get whatever's above it. So it sounds like that's what happened on the first run. The shark goes a little bit away. His brother Gustav is going to try to get over there and help him out, but the shark is still attacking him, so he just heads his way in, and it's very rough. I don't think he could have made it over there if he wanted to. The only thing that they said that could have really made it over there was a jet ski, something under power, as it's very, for surfers, it's very rough surf there. So the shark comes back at David again, and this is when they see blood. From the beach, Matt Marias sees the shark coming at him, and he says that temporarily David put his board between him and the shark and pushed it up against the shark's head. And this worked for a couple seconds, and then the shark just took and disappeared underwater with David, and blood filled the water. It was stained deep red. So he was losing a lot of blood fast. The same thing was witnessed by the two couples up on the beach that had seen the attack. So he ends up being attacked. Now the shark ends up leaving him alone after this. David's leg is bitten off at the hip. His right leg, I believe it is bitten off at the hip. His leg is floating off. David's body is floating towards the rocks, and that's how he's eventually rescued. When he gets to the rocks, and the people that pulled him up onto the rocks that saw the attack, that pulled him on the rocks, said that the water was not stained bloody when they pulled him up on the rocks like it was out there when he got attacked. So they knew he was probably almost out of blood, which turned out to be the case. He was on a rocky crop outlet, and the rescuers had sent a jet ski around to try to get him from the water, but it was too choppy, it was too rough in there, so they decided they were going to have to haul him up the rocky slope to get up there. And this is why the couple that had seen that weren't able to get down. They're from out of town and they don't know how to get down the rocks to the beach to try to yell to him anyway. But with the surf being that rough, it's hard to get yourself heard even from probably 100 feet. when you're out there and you got splashing waves and all that going on. So, you know, a rough attack. So David's body floats to the rocks. It's pulled up onto the rocks. David's brother now, Gustav, is sitting there with his brother's body and waiting for his father to show up. And his father shows up and the both of them sit on the rocks with David's body and the body bag next to them. The shark, for a half hour, swimming around in the water, visible to everybody. About a 16-foot great white shark just swimming through the shallows, swimming through the bay. The National Geographic, there was a Sharkman show that was doing some chumming the week before, chumming in sharks, not too far off of the beach, off of shore, and people were complaining that that's probably what brought the shark in. But the problem here is that Kogal Bay has had plenty of shark attacks. I mean, it's not stranger to shark attack. What brought those in? Now, if you're in the Keys, let's say you're in the Keys and you're in those shallows, right up 100 yards from shore, and you see a great white there, well then, what brought that thing in? Because they don't come in there, because it's miles of shallows to where they're not going to be able to ambush any kind of prey, and the odds of them being able to catch something going straight for them that they actually are after, they're not good, and they don't want anything to do with the manatees that are swimming around there. And so this goes down as one of the worst, if not the worst, territorial attacks I've seen. I guess you could say Lewis Boren was another one, but this one, it didn't just get a bite on there, it went for the bite, he fought it off, and Matt Marias on the beach said that he saw it make 2 or 3 runs at it. So there's at least 2 runs, there could be 3 runs at him, and he might not have saw the first run because the shark came up from underneath where you had to pretty much be elevated to be able to see that activity going on. So I think he might have saw the last 2 attacks, and maybe it made 3 runs at David. So that's an attack, a fatality, a 16-foot great white, and that's our story of David Lilienfeld.